Growing up, I was a PlayStation kid. I was obsessed with that console's library, even well into the end of its life cycle. 2002's Yu-Gi-Oh! Forbidden Memories was a game that I absolutely adored, and its soundtrack is probably pretty formative in my own understanding of music. If you know anything about the game, it's a total mess and the AI pretty much cheats, but the OST is full of funky jazz fusion bangers that make the unfair gameplay much easier to stomach. A lot of these tunes throughout the soundtrack make use of the Dorian Mode, and that's what we'll be checking out today. The Dorian Mode has a unique melodic and harmonic signature. The Dorian Mode is a minor scale with a raised sixth. This signature sixth note can tell so many stories. Sometimes it's haunting, other times it's heroic, and many times it can be peaceful. In Forbidden Memories, one of the tracks that you hear a lot while you're grinding for all those dragon cards is in Free Duel. This track is playful, bouncy, and fun. Here we're in C-sharp Dorian relative to B major. The synth bass riffs around essentially a C-sharp pedal, while the melodic motion is taken over by the other voices. The syncopated synth plucks move around the Dorian scale in harmonized stabs. Each layer that builds further emphasizes that raised sixth degree. When all the layers are in, the staccato articulation keeps things light and energetic. As we can hear, the parts are still written in a minor mode, but the execution reflects the lower stakes of the gameplay, a perfect balance between music and narrative.
Bonus stage!
In this track's B section, we get a satisfying shift to Dorian's major cousin, the Lydian mode. Built from the fourth degree of the B major scale, this brightens things up even more by shifting the harmony between E major and F sharp major chords. The melody beautifully outlines these chord changes with a high G sharp played over the top of an E chord, and then following it up with a brilliant suspension over the F sharp chord, dropping the B down to an A sharp. The second section feels even lighter and friendlier. The longer melodic rhythms paired with the steady 4 on the floor drums and the 4 against 3 chords are a nice break from the shorter and bouncier plucks from the previous section. Dorian Mode doesn't just get play as a melodic device, but as a harmonic one as well. Preliminary Duel, which is a track that you'll again hear over and over again, sees the chords of the Dorian scale setting the stage first. Here in E Dorian, our signature raised sixth note is C sharp. The chords smoothly cycle between E minor 7 and A13 as the track starts. The C sharp is the major third of the A13 chord. Typically in the key of E minor, A is our minor 4 chord, but applying the C sharp here gives us an interesting, jazzier color that you don't quite get by staying all the way in the diatonic minor key. When the melody enters, the Dorian mode is really hit home with repeated emphasis of the raised sixth. We see a lot of flip-flopping between D and C sharp, which are the flat 7th and the 6th, respectively. The B section smoothly shifts to F sharp Dorian, where we reuse that same figure from before. The melody emphasizing the minor thirds and sevenths injects some drama in this contrasting section. We can tell that the stakes are a little higher here with the more punctuated rhythms and the building tension in the supporting synth plucks that outline the 9 and 11 upper extensions. The Dorian mode is a scale made to groove extra hard. In the final matches track, the synth bass goes absolutely crazy on a pentatonic riff, while the melody toys with more Dorian phrasing. We find ourselves in E Dorian again, and the melody builds itself around that signature raised sixth, once again being C sharp. The structure of the melody is really exciting. We rock it up to the high range with a short sequence of notes that take 2 whole steps and then transpose them up a fifth to get up to the higher octave. This is a really tasteful way to cover a lot of ground as a pickup into the main melody.
Bonus stage.
The B section changes our scale to E Mixolydian by raising the third up a half step for G sharp, making it now a major third. We find this appearing in the harmony as the chords and bass hang around E major. The touch and go of the F sharp minor 7 to E sort of hides that Mixolydian shift pretty well. The contrast from the funky A section to the more chaotic B section does an amazing job of illustrating the higher stakes. So far we've seen the Dorian mode can be fun, tense, and kind of funky. The Dorian mode can also be sort of ambiguous. In Seto Kaiba's theme, the harmony is a sort of a mixed bag. It's well defined, but hard to pin down. In the intro, the synth chords give us these crunchy stacked fourths while the bass walks underneath it. The melody above is clearly minor, but what throws it off is the F sharp that appears in the bass. This is an example of something called modal interchange, or a borrowed chord. Modal interchange is the technique of taking a chord from a parallel mode to access new colors not found in the diatonic key. So here, this track is mostly in A minor, which has no sharps or flats. The addition of the F sharp under the notes E, A, and D spells out a D over F sharp with an added 9. This is actually borrowed from A Dorian, where D is the major 4 chord. The shift to A Dorian is only temporary, as the F sharp falls into place for a D minor 7 over F chord, which is squarely in the key of A minor. The use of outside notes in this case serves to build tension against the steady chord stabs, and exemplifies the rising stakes of one of the most important battles of the entire game. After hearing all these examples, calling the Dorian mode versatile seems like a little bit of an understatement. I hope you enjoyed this deep dive into all the different ways you can hear and use the scale to tell the story that you want to tell. There are, of course, a lot more examples of the Dorian mode being used throughout the soundtrack, but I urge you to check out the rest, you won't be disappointed. And if you have a song from a game or a film that you'd want to see broken down, leave your suggestion in the comments. Thanks for watching.